Hello there, welcome to our special edition of News Bulletin The World This Week, today on 21st July 2024, Sunday. And before moving towards the main stories, let's check out the global headlines and the news in detail. In the age of artificial intelligence, Microsoft outage disrupted several digital sectors across the world. Transport providers, business, hospitals and governments on Saturday were rushing to get all their systems back online after long disruptions following a widespread technology outage. The biggest continuing effect has been on 8.5 million Windows devices and air travel. Carriers cancelled thousands of flights on Friday and now have many of their planes and crews in the wrong place, while airports facing continued problems with check-in and security. On Saturday around 10:30 p.m. EDT, a flight tracking service, that is a flight hour, listed more than 33,000 total flight delays on its website and more than 2,700 cancellations. Both American Airlines and United Airlines said Saturday that most of its operations were restored and back up and running. At the heart of the massive disruptions is CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity firm that provides software to scores of companies worldwide. The company says the problem occurred when it deployed a faulty update to computers running Microsoft Windows. Noting that the issue behind the outage was not a security incident or cyber attack. The Microsoft outage caused by the CrowdStrike software update also caused the return of a familiar and dreaded screen for many Windows users, and what has come to be known informally as the blue screen of death, indicating that their computer systems are down. Microsoft said 8.5 million devices running its Windows operating systems were affected by the outage that affected consumers and business across the globe, including airlines, banks, healthcare providers, telecoms, retailers, and even billboards in New York City's Times Square. A faulty update knocked out several Windows computers and servers around the world on last Friday, 19 July 2024, sending them through a boot loop featuring a so-called blue screen of death, disrupting aviation, banking, telecommunications, hospitals, TV channels, and other companies around the world. And several flights were grounded in the United States and across the world, with airports reeling under a complete collapse of their digital systems around the world.
HTT Live 24/7 presents The World This Week.
J.D. Vance, who once described Donald Trump as America's Hitler and unfit for the highest office, was picked as his running mate in a surprising move. Donald Trump's decision to pick J.D. Vance as its running mate and his invitation to the president of one of America's biggest labor unions to address the Republican convention marks a big moment in Trump's radical engineering of the Republican Party. The traditional party of America's big business is becoming the party of a segment of America's workers. This process has been in the works for 8 years now, ever since Trump upended the conventional assumptions of the Republican Party about trade, globalization and jobs. In this view, liberal trading arrangements had led to a massive exodus of American jobs to the rest of the world. In the meantime, U.S. President Joe Biden reaffirmed his commitment to remain in the presidential race, despite a growing opposition from Democrats that fueled speculation about his potential withdrawal as early as this weekend. In a written statement from his Delaware Beach home, where he is recovering from COVID, the 81-year-old declared, quote-unquote, "The stakes are high and the choice is clear. Together, we will win." And Biden plans to resume campaigning next week and criticize Donald Trump's dark speech at the Republican National Convention on Thursday. However, his campaign pushed back, with Chairwoman Jen O'Malley-Dillon acknowledging him some slippage in support but maintaining that he remains the strongest candidate, saying, quote-unquote, "Absolutely, the president's in this race. Joe Biden is more committed than ever to beat Donald Trump." On the contrary, opponents of Trump are screwing up the memory of what had happened on the eve of the U.S. presidential election 2020, just before the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, when George Floyd's death had come as the latest in a line of killings of African Americans by American law enforcement officers. Floyd was seen groaning for help And in a widely circulated video in which direct shoving a white police officer was seen kneeling on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes. In sparking nationwide protest, this incident has reawakened the African Americans' anger against the police brutality and rekindled their long-standing struggle for racial justice in the U.S. With respect to the 2020 election, this incident closely followed the presumptive Democratic nominee and the former Vice President Joe Biden's gaffe over his party's presumed hold over the African American community.
HGT Live 24/7 presents The World This Week.
Bangabandhu'sbangladesh Bangladesh has been burning since last couple of days over the decision to honor the freedom fighters, that is Muktiyuddha families, with quota system by the incumbent government, Awami League, headed by the daughter of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who had been assassinated by the miscreants along with his son at his residence. Student protesters stormed the jail in the Nashingi district and freed the facility's inmates before setting it on fire as the police struggled to quell unrest with huge rallies in Dhaka. Bangladesh government enforced national shoot-on-sight curfew with order across Bangladesh as military forces patrolled parts of the capital Saturday after scores were killed and hundreds injured in clashes over the allocation of civil service jobs. The demonstrations called for mainly by student groups and started weeks ago to protest a quota system that reserves up to 30% of government jobs for relatives of veterans who fought in Bangladesh's War of Independence in 1971, that is the Muktiyuddha. Violence erupted Tuesday. The United States Embassy in Dhaka said Friday that reports indicated hundreds to possibly thousands were injured across Bangladesh. It said the situation was extremely volatile. Officials said the curfew was to quell further violence after police and protesters clashed in the streets and at university the campuses in Dhaka and other cities across the South Asian country. Authorities blocked online communication by banning mobile and internet services, and several television news channels also went off the air, and the websites of most local newspapers were down. Meanwhile, some key government websites, including Bangladesh's Central Bank and the Prime Minister's office, appeared to have been hacked and defaced. About 100 policemen were injured in the clashes yesterday. Dhaka Metropolis spokesman Farooq Hussain said, quote-unquote, around 50 police booths were burned. Mr. Hussain said police had arrested Rahul Kabir Rizvi Ahmed, the joint secretary of the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, that is BNP. It is believed by the intellectuals that the country's 1971 liberation war fighters against Pakistan sacrificed their lives for the sake of freedom, including the incumbent Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's father, the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, to restore peace, prosperity and fraternity forever, and the sustainable benefit has still been blooming in totality. At this juncture, Indian High Commission has been playing a pivotal role for the safe return of over 8,500 Indian students from Bangladesh. Yesterday, that is on 20th July, Border Security Force, that is BSF, had been generous enough to provide the returnees food and all other possible help through the Simantipur land port.
HGT Live 24/7 presents The World This Week.
Dear viewers, you are watching The World This Week. In our Health is Well segment, today we need to pay heed to an eminent doctor of India. During this monsoon season, when many fatal diseases like Japanese encephalitis and the Nipah virus threats people elsewhere, in Kerala, it was reported it's a fourth fatality due to a rare microorganism brain-eating amoeba, scientifically known as Naegleria fowleri, and these microorganisms live in fresh waters and enter the human body, and severely impacting the brain. And warm freshwater environments such as lakes, rivers, and hot springs make amicable spaces for brain-eating amoeba to thrive. Professor Dr. Pradeep Baumik from AGMC has advised all not to worry about so much but to stay away from water activities in order to stay safe, followed by other legitimate guidelines as per WHO. Let's pay heed to him. Thank you. In the recent times, in Indian state Kerala, brain-eating amoeba created another panic over there. Though 4 cases were found and 1 died, became the victim. Do you need to panic, especially in the other states like Kerala?
You see, there are 2 issues I would like to say that Kerala is in one state which has got very, good health infrastructure, I believe strongly. Though I had never been to that way health, health setup of any Kerala hospital or like that. But what I have gone through any literature or any news media or other thing, they could diagnose many diseases. Even COVID was diagnosed very early over there. And their management policy or the way they could manage COVID early or diagnose early, it was very astonishing and very nice. So this time also they are talking about this brain-eating amoeba or Naegleria, this amoeba. So this is something different. It is not that only few cases has been diagnosed, and we should not be worried that much, but we should be cautious. Particularly those who are taking bath in a pond or they sort of even infected even swimming pools or other thing. One should be cautious because even another issue is that now we don't take bath lot of the pond or the sort of areas. So that way it is only mainly for those who are in a village setup using pond. They should be cautious. And if somebody develops fever after taking bath in such a setup, one should inform the doctors. And this is important for us because we are informed now. We know this thing can happen. One can come with the fever and within a very short time he can go in unconsciousness and can develop other side effects of the brain affection or some sort of encephalopathy. And so that we can diagnose the disease early, we can treat the disease early. So as such, at present time, we should not be very much worried about it. And there are many other neglected tropical diseases are there. And WHO is also concerned about this neglected tropical disease because we are in the tropical countries. So near the tropics, many diseases occurs. Sometimes diagnosis is late and that causes all havoc. So what is, we usually ask or we usually advocate that even if you get some unusual symptom, any patient, this patient should be hospitalized. In any case, even fever, headache, vomiting, all these things occurs very frequently. They should be hospitalized and should be evaluated because we don't have good infrastructure in all hospitals. So nowadays, as you said earlier also, that COVID has given us some way to communicate with other hospitals. So you can communicate, you can discuss and can have a diagnosis. So that way at this very time, we are not very much worried about this brain-eating amoeba.
HGT Live 24/7 presents The World This Week.
6 times world snooker champion Ray Reardon has died at the age of 91 after being diagnosed with cancer. The World's Snooker Tour reported on Saturday. Welshman Reardon, who died late on Friday, dominated snooker in the 1970s, winning his first world title in 1970 and 5 more during the rest of the decade. Nicknamed Dracula due to his widow's peak hairstyle, Reardon was one of the most popular and charismatic figures in the sport. He continued to play snooker in his spare time after retiring in 1991 at the age of 58. That's all for the timing, and thank you all for being with me. Keep watching HGT Live 24/7. Have a great time ahead. Bye for now.
HGT Live 24/7 presents The World This Week. America to Agatala. Global news platform. Global politics, diplomacy, economy, education, health, culture, sports, international affairs, global turbulences, news from space, curiosity on aliens, UFO, etc., war and war effects on global economy, census, share market, global tourism, global technology, artificial intelligence, and next. You are watching HGT Live 24/7 on YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Telegram, Twitter, etc. Fashion, fair, future, and lot more. The World This Week.